I've been dropped into a novel. Not just any novel, but a trashy, trope-filled potboiler called My Two Childhood Sweethearts Went Crazy After I Left. In this world, I'm Ethan Thorne, the sole heir to the Thorne fortune. Khloe Sullivan and Scarlet Reed are the two childhood sweethearts who grew up glued to my side. And then there's the fourth key player, just about to make his grand entrance, Leo Miller, the son of Khloe's chauffeur, the one who changes everything that I and the original story, Khloe and Scarlet were completely devoted to me. They would have given me the moon and the stars. But everything changed after Khloe's driver was badly injured in an accident while saving their lives. When he recommended his own son to take over the job, Ethan's world was turned upside down. The two girls suddenly shifted all their attention to the driver's son, Leo, and it felt deliberate. The more I was around, the kinder they became to him. The original Ethan, heartbroken, eventually left town. Only then did the girls realize they'd gone too far and completely lost their minds. It all started because when Leo first arrived, they treated him with exceptional warmth. After all, his father had been seriously injured protecting them. But then they noticed something unexpected, a flicker of jealousy on Ethan's face. For years, they had been the ones chasing him. That moment gave them a thrill, a sense of validation that they mattered to him just as much as he mattered to them. So they doubled down, lavishing even more attention on Leo. The original Ethan argued with them, pleaded with them. But the more he protested, the more they flaunted their kindness toward Leo, convinced it proved how much Ethan cared. In the end, he left, and they broke. As the plot summary scrolled through my mind like a phantom teleprompter, a wicked smile spread across my face. What a joke! That I took a deep breath, forcing down the surge of emotion. Staring at the handsome, sharp-featured face in the mirror, I nodded in satisfaction. Now that I'm here, this script gets a rewrite. My rewrite, Mr. Miller, you don't have to come in person. Your injury is still healing. Khloe's playful, teasing voice drifted up from downstairs. Your son isn't a stranger. It's not like we're going to bully him if he comes alone. Her voice snapped me back to the present. Today was the day Leo's father brought him over, the day the original Ethan's fate began its downward spiral. That I calmly changed into a set of well-tailored loungewear and deliberately slowed my pace as I descended the sweeping staircase, moving with lazy grace as if I'd just woken up. Khloe and Scarlet were flanking the sofa. They noticed me coming down. Khloe, dressed in a moonlight white dress that perfectly matched her cool, goddess-like aura, forced her tone to stay gentle. Mr. Miller, please don't worry. You were hurt protecting me. The Sullivan family will never forget that debt. She leaned forward slightly, her posture deferential. Scarlet, the complete opposite, wore a vibrant red dress, her firecracker personality on full display. Before Khloe could finish, she jumped in with a bright smile, her eyes fixed on the boy standing beside Mr. Miller with his head bowed. Exactly. Leo, right? From now on, think of this as your home. If you need anything, just tell us. We'll treat you like our own little brother. Her voice was crisp, her smile dazzling, but her gaze kept darting toward the staircase where I stood. Sitting in the middle of the sofa was a man in his 50s, wearing the Thorne family driver's uniform, his arm wrapped in a thick cast. He wore a simple, honest smile. Standing beside him was Leo, around 20 years old, dressed in a faded, ill-fitting t-shirt, shoulders hunched, fingers nervously twisting together. The moment my eyes landed on him, he flicked his gaze upward. It was a quick, greedy glance that swept over the opulent mansion before settling on Khloe and Scarlet Demar. Miller was clearly moved by the girl's promises. He nudged his son with his good arm. Quick, Leo. Thank the young ladies. Starting now, you stay close to them and repay their kindness. Only then did Leo timidly lift his head, revealing a delicate face carefully etched with fear. His voice was soft and thin. Thank you, Khloe. Scarlet. His eyes darted again, landing on me. And this is, all eyes turned to me. That I caught the trace of anxiety on Khloe's face. Scarlet merely raised an eyebrow, as if waiting for a show, expressionless, I walked straight to the dining table in the corner and began eating the breakfast Maria had prepared, completely at ease. "Wow, Maria, your cooking keeps getting better," I said casually, as if no one else existed. 20 minutes later, I finished my meal and noticed they were still staring at me. Not a single word had been spoken, that I acted as if I just noticed them. My gaze fell indifferently on Mr. Miller's cast. "Mr. Miller, you're here. Is your arm healing well? If you need anything, let Mr. Davis, the house manager, know." I didn't even glance at Leo. In my mind, he was already a dead man. And who bothers greeting a corpse? He could put on his pitiful, fragile act all he wanted. I knew the full story. I knew exactly what kind of person he was. In the world I was about to create, people like him met very ugly ends. The air froze, the warm words Khloe had prepared died in her throat. Scarlet's smile stiffened, disbelief flashing across her face. Mr. Miller's gratitude turned awkward, and Leo's carefully rehearsed performance, meant to win sympathy and endure the scorn of a rich young master, was rendered completely useless. The expressions were priceless, but I wasn't in the mood to savor them. I turned and went back to my room. "You want to play games of misdirection?" I muttered. "Fine. I'll play hard to get." My strategy was simple: indifference. Complete and utter disregard. I would strip away the attention they took for granted, suck it out of the room like air from a vacuum. I'd make them feel what it was like to be ignored. And then I'd add just enough pressure to give them a real sense of crisis. In the days that followed, no matter how much they doted on Leo, I acted as if I saw nothing. I stayed busy with my own affairs. Managing a corporate empire this massive was stressful enough. I had more than enough on my plate. One day, I was enjoying a massive lobster Maria had prepared when the three of them walked in together, laughing and chatting. The moment Scarlet saw me eating, her cheerful expression vanished, replaced by a cold glare. "Ethan," she said, "Leo's never been horseback riding, so we're taking him to the stables. They just got a few nice thoroughbreds. If you want to see them, I guess we could bring you along." Crack that I snapped the lobster claw in half and took a huge bite. "I'll pass on the thoroughbreds. Let me know when you get a unicorn." Scarlet was stunned into silence. I had never once refused her invitation. Khloe, watching from the side, suddenly had an idea. She deliberately raised her voice and turned to Leo, who was trying on a pair of limited edition Jordans. "Hey, Leo. Have you seen the last photograph? I heard it's amazing." Leo set the sneaker down, flashing a fawning smile. "Not yet, Khloe. I really want to, but it's no fun going alone." "Why would you go alone?" Scarlet chimed in. "Khloe and I will go with you." Though she spoke to Leo, the corner of her eye stayed fixed on me. Then, dripping with charity, she added, "Ethan, do you want to come? I happened to buy an extra ticket. Otherwise, it would just go to waste." "I'd rather not be your third wheel," I said, standing up. "I'll book a private screening for myself in a couple of days." Khloe and Scarlet's faces darkened. "Ethan, what do you mean?" Khloe demanded, rushing to grab my arm. "What third wheel? You're not leaving until you explain yourself." "Exactly," Scarlet added, blocking my way. "You know what we are to each other. One of us will be your wife eventually. You're just trying to make us mad. If you push us away, it'll be too late to beg us to come back." "Beg?" I scoffed. "In your dreams." I shook off Khloe's hand and walked out, leaving them staring at each other, speechless. "So, ladies," Leo asked hopefully, jogging after them, "are we going to the stables or the movies today?" He imagined them fighting over him, picturing himself gallantly smoothing things over by suggesting both. "You know what?" Scarlet said suddenly. "Why don't you and Khloe go to the movies? I have company business." Something about me felt deeply wrong to her. It wasn't just the lack of jealousy, it was the indifference, and it unsettled her. "I have work too," Khloe said. "We can see the horses another time." They didn't spare Leo a second glance as they hurried off. Leo stood frozen. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He hadn't done anything wrong. He'd followed his father's instructions perfectly, his eyes filled with resentment. Those two women and their fortunes, they all had to be his. Enough time had passed. It was time to add real fuel to the fire. That Sunday afternoon, while Khloe, Scarlet, and Leo were watching TV, I walked past with my phone to my ear. Of course, I'm free, I said casually. That new fusion place is supposed to be incredible. I heard the rooftop table overlooks the entire Manhattan skyline. I smiled at my watch. 7 o'clock. I'll pick you up. Then, in a softer, intimate tone, I added, see you soon, Isabel. I hung up, the smile still lingering. Khloe froze, popcorn halfway to her mouth. Scarlet's smile vanished, her eyes sharp with fury. Leo just looked lost. I nodded at him and went upstairs. After a few seconds of silence, Scarlet snapped, Leo, you're in the way. She grabbed Khloe's arm. This show is boring. Let's get some air. Leo was left standing alone. This time, he wasn't just ignored, he was dismissed. From that moment on, everything changed. Khloe and Scarlet began to panic. They subconsciously pulled away from Leo. Khloe stopped initiating conversations. Scarlet stopped catering to his feelings. Leo felt them slipping away and panicked. His attempts to regain their attention became desperate and clumsy. One morning, Khloe passed through the garage and saw Leo washing my bright blue Ferrari. When he spotted her, he slipped and fell. Ah, he cried, clutching his ankle. I'm so stupid. Mr. Thorne made me clean the car before dawn, and I twisted my ankle. Khloe frowned, glanced at her watch, and said impatiently, there's a first aid kit inside. Go ask Maria. She drove off. Humiliation twisted Leo's face into something dark. A few days later, Scarlet sat alone in the sunroom flipping through a magazine. Leo approached with a plate of fruit. Scarlet, he began softly. She didn't look up. The dam of his rehearsed emotions burst, and he dropped to his knees with a thud. Stop, Scarlet. I feel awful. Am I really that unlikable? I'm trying so hard to do a good job, to fit in, but I feel like everyone just sees me as an outsider, especially Ethan. He lifted his tear-streaked face. I know my background isn't good. I can't compare to Ethan, but the way he treats me, like I'm just a servant. Scarlet, will I ever be accepted? Should I even be here? He sobbed hysterically, painting himself as a tragic figure, bullied and ostracized by the wealthy elite. Scarlet was startled by his sudden outburst, dropping her magazine. Yet something about his words felt wrong. Ethan treated him like a servant. Well, wasn't he one? Still, seeing him cry so miserably stirred a pang of pity in her. She remembered how his father had been badly injured saving her. She frowned and offered a few perfunctory words of comfort. Okay, stop crying. Ethan's been in a bad mood lately. It's not about you. But Leo only intensified his performance, his accusations growing more extreme. I know he looks down on me. He's afraid I'll steal your attention. Khloe barely talks to me now. Scarlet, you're the only one who's still nice to me. Then he began to insinuate that Ethan was bad-mouthing him behind his back, actively trying to push him out. Scarlet's brow furrowed deeper. She shot to her feet, her voice edged with icy warning. Leo, get up. Crying like this, what kind of man are you? And whatever Ethan does or doesn't do is none of your business. Listen carefully. Learn your place. You are Mr. Miller's son, and Mr. Miller is the Thorne family's driver. Do the job you're hired for and stop wasting your time on delusions, wanting things that don't belong to you. Do you understand? Leo's sobs stopped instantly, as if his throat had been squeezed shut. The blood drained from his face, leaving only terror and deep humiliation. Seeing the undisguised disgust in Scarlet's eyes, he realized for the first time that he might have completely lost this trump card. Worse still, driven by desperation and resentment, he resorted to a clumsy attempt to drive a wedge between them. While helping Khloe organize her art supplies, he let out a theatrical sigh. You know, Khloe, I think Scarlet's been getting really close to Ethan behind your back lately. I saw her at the tennis courts yesterday handing him a water bottle. They were talking and laughing. I've never seen Ethan smile so happily. Khloe didn't say a word, but the darkening of her expression and the tight grip on her paintbrush revealed how much it bothered her. Later, Leo cornered Scarlet during her afternoon tea, lowering his voice conspiratorially. Scarlet, I don't think Khloe has given up on Ethan. I personally saw her give him movie tickets yesterday, but she told me she was going with me. That's enough. Scarlet cut him off sharply. If there's nothing else, you can leave. After Leo left, Scarlet rubbed her temples in frustration. It was the first time she'd ever felt resentment toward her best friend, but such a cheap trick was bound to be exposed. The very next day, the moment the two girls met, Scarlet spoke, her voice dripping with sarcasm. So, how was the movie? Must have been fun sneaking out with Ethan behind your best friend's back. Khloe froze. Then realization dawned, and she shot back with her own mocking tone. Since when did my best friend learn to play the victim? What about you playing the doting girlfriend at the tennis court, handing him water, wiping his sweat? That was just a coincidence, Scarlet snapped. You inviting him to the movies was calculated. Don't give me that, Khloe retorted. We've been friends for over 20 years. You think I don't know you? It was your idea to be nice to Leo in the first place, to make Ethan jealous so he'd finally make a move on us. But now that it's not working, now that he's misunderstanding us, you're the first to run back and try to win him over. Maybe that was your plan all along, to make him misunderstand me so he'd choose you. Khloe's voice cracked, and she finally broke down crying. Seeing her like that, guilt twisted in Scarlet's stomach. Their 20-year friendship wasn't a joke. She stepped forward and took Khloe's hand. We've been sisters for this long. Don't you know me by now? We compete fairly, I don't play dirty. What happened at the court really was a coincidence. I've been thinking about it too. We went too far. We let Ethan get the wrong idea. But it's not too late to fix this. You're right, Khloe nodded, wiping her tears. The first thing we need to do is fire Leo. Then we focus on winning Ethan back. Deal. I'll talk to Leo tonight. Considering his father saved us, we'll give him a generous severance. Their conversation was overheard by Leo, hiding in the shadows. His expression shifted from disbelief to a cold, chilling rage. So you were just using me as a tool, he thought. You burned the bridge the moment you crossed it. Fine. Don't blame me for playing along with your little game. Meanwhile, I hadn't been idle. I'd sectioned off part of the estate's backyard to build a private animal sanctuary. Over the past few days, primates had arrived from all over, even Africa. Massive silverback gorillas, ferocious baboons, mandrills with sharp fangs and claws. Seeing me busy and content, the girls came to help. But when they saw the terrifying animals in their cages, they were too frightened to approach. Ethan, there are so many cute monkeys in the world, one of them said. Why did you get so many of these, weird-looking ones? As if offended, one of the baboons leaped at the bars, baring its teeth and screeching. Khloe screamed and fled the enclosure before she could finish her sentence. If you like monkeys, Scarlet added nervously, we could get golden monkeys. They're gentle and cute. Gross. A silverback gorilla in heat made an unmistakably graphic display. Scarlet's face flushed bright red as she fled the sanctuary too. Watching them leave, I smiled. They'd been clinging to me for days now. I knew I had them exactly where I wanted them. All that remained were the Millers. It wasn't that I was denying them a way out, I knew the script. As long as they lived, they'd keep scheming against the girls, and I'd remain in the crossfire. My gaze shifted back to the animals in their cages. Let's start you two off with a little appetizer. Just as Khloe and Scarlet were about to fire Leo, he vanished. Days passed. His phone went straight to voicemail. But I knew exactly what he was doing. I had someone tailing him around the clock. In the original novel, the pathetic Ethan gave up everything and left town. Now that I was here, there could be no mistakes. Leo was holed up with his father, plotting their final move. They purchased a powerful sedative mixed with an aphrodisiac from overseas. Once they forced the situation, the girls would have no choice. Of course, my man was listening to every word. When he reported back, a bold idea formed in my mind. 2 weeks later, Leo returned. He claimed he'd gone hiking, fallen, and hit his head. When he woke up, he had amnesia and had been hospitalized the entire time. His father reminded him he still had a job, and once he recovered, he rushed back. His behavior had changed completely. Gone was the clingy, playful shadow. Now he was respectful and distant, convincingly acting as if he'd lost his memory. The girls felt relieved, and guilty. They decided not to fire him yet. That night, while they watched TV, Leo brought them coffee and quietly slipped away. After 11, when the house was asleep, he watched from the shadows. Half an hour passed. No reaction. Didn't they say it works in 10 minutes, he wondered. Still, he waited. When the girls went upstairs unaffected, he turned to leave. That was when a bag was thrown over his head. The drugs weren't ineffective. I'd switched them long ago. The real dose had been given to the primates in my sanctuary. I watched the footage calmly. So brutal. Animals really are animals. The next day, Leo was rushed to the hospital. I went with Khloe and Scarlet. He stared blankly at the ceiling, unresponsive. I've never seen a case like this, the doctor said gravely. Severe lacerations, especially to the lower body. What about his lower body? I asked, my concern perfectly masked. The damage was too severe. We had to remove it entirely. He's lucky to be alive. Mr. Miller arrived moments later. When I told him what happened, he collapsed. 5 minutes later, a scream echoed down the corridor. Khloe and Scarlet looked away. I simply took their arms and led them out. During Leo's hospitalization, my relationship with the girls advanced rapidly. The original protagonist only existed because the plot demanded it. I was different. I knew the truth. When they returned to me, I accepted. That night, Khloe came to my door. I'll spare the rest. Morning came. I smiled, stretched, and tapped her playfully. Wakey wakey, sleepyhead. Khloe just grunted and rolled over, so I let her be. She needed the rest. I got dressed, and the moment I opened my bedroom door, I saw Scarlet standing there. She had clearly been waiting for a long time. Her face was dark, her eyes wide with fury. Ethan, she demanded, Khloe wasn't in her room this morning. Were you two together last night? I didn't bother explaining. I simply nodded toward my room and let her see for herself. She walked to the doorway and saw Khloe asleep in my bed. Her expression twisted with anger. I tried so hard to keep an eye on her, and she still slipped past me. I won't accept this cheap trick, she fumed, stomping her foot before storming off. A few days later, I went abroad on a business trip for 2 weeks. By the time I returned, Leo had already been discharged from the hospital. He and his father were both back at the estate. Mr. Miller was still our driver, and Leo handled odd jobs around the house. For all intents and purposes, he was a broken man. To an outsider, it looked like we were being kind, letting them stay, letting Leo recover under our roof. But I knew better. Villains in these kinds of trashy novels were always pathologically obsessive. As long as they were still breathing, they wouldn't give up. That suited me just fine. It was far easier to keep them under my own roof than to worry about what they might do out in the world. To that end, I had the entire estate fitted with hidden cameras and arranged for someone to monitor the Millers around the clock. That night, I returned to my bedroom and found the lights off. A striking silhouette sat on my bed. I assumed it was Khloe, coming back for more after getting a taste, so I didn't think twice. When I woke up the next morning, I realized it wasn't Khloe. It was Scarlet. She was nestled in my arms, wearing a mischievous smile. "I don't care," she said softly. "You have to take responsibility for me now, too." Fine by me. I wasn't afraid of a little responsibility. This had been my plan all along, and her throwing herself at me simply saved me the trouble. When Scarlet and I walked out of my room together, we heard the sound of glass shattering behind us. We turned to see Leo standing there, having dropped a tray of tea. His eyes were bloodshot, his whole body trembling. He looked like a man who had just caught his own wife cheating. I ignored him. I wrapped my arm around Scarlet's slim waist and tossed a single sentence over my shoulder as we walked away. "Clean that up." Leo stood frozen, the sound of his teeth grinding together audible. "Ethan, you bastard," he thought bitterly. "You did this to me, and now you're walking around with a girl on each arm. I'll make sure you die a horrible death." Just as I expected, he couldn't hold it together. The next morning, while I was eating breakfast and scrolling through my phone, my security guy approached and whispered in my ear, "Sir, they're making a move." He handed me a tablet. On the monitor, I saw a shadowy figure slipping into the garage before dawn with the help of a flashlight. Once inside, the figure turned on the lights. It was Mr. Miller. He looked around nervously, then slid under my car. Half an hour later, he crawled out, checked his surroundings again, and turned off the lights before disappearing. "Sir," my man said, "I checked under the car." He loosened the brake line. "You wouldn't notice it at first, but he knows you're driving to Eagles Peak today. The roads there are steep. With constant braking, the line will fail." A small smile formed on my lips. Talk about a gift horse. I'd been wondering how to get rid of them, and he had just handed me the solution on a silver platter. When Mr. Miller drove off with Khloe and Scarlet, I called Leo over. The emotion in his eyes was obvious, but I didn't care. Why waste energy on a dead man? "Khloe, Scarlet, and I are going to Eagles Peak for a photo shoot today," I said calmly. "Take my car and drive the clothes and equipment up there first. Tell them I'll be there shortly." "Fine," he hissed, practically spitting the word as he snatched the keys. I tossed them to him. It was clear his father hadn't told him about the tampered brakes. A testament to a father's love, I suppose. Even if he were caught, he didn't want to implicate his son. And in doing so, he had personally signed his son's death warrant. I deliberately phrased my request to provoke Leo. An emotional driver is a fast driver, and a fast driver guaranteed an accident. Sure enough, on the downhill slope from Eagles Peak, Leo slammed on the brakes. They failed, and the car plunged off the cliff. That evening, Mr. Miller returned with Khloe and Scarlet. He walked behind them, head lowered, whistling softly. He was clearly in a good mood. But when he heard the girls call my name and run toward me, his smile froze. He looked up sharply and saw me sitting on the sofa, flanked by both women. His face twisted into pure disbelief. "Sir, you... What are you doing here?" he stammered. I feigned confusion. "If I'm not in my own home, where else would I be?" "Sir, didn't you have the staff drive you to Eagles Peak today?" "Oh, I didn't go. I had Leo take the equipment up for me." I paused. "Now that you mention it, he's been gone all day. I wonder where he is." As I spoke, I watched Mr. Miller's face. His pale complexion turned ashen. Beads of sweat formed on his forehead. You're saying it was my son who went to Eagles Peak?" In his distress, he forgot all formality. "Is there a problem?" I asked coldly. He suddenly snapped. Lunging forward, he pulled out the only sharp object he had, his car key. "It was you. You ruined him. You killed my son. I'll kill you. Mr. Miller charged at me, his face twisted in rage. Khloe and Scarlet jumped up to intervene, but before he could get close, I kicked him squarely in the stomach, sending him sprawling to the floor. You're going to try to kill me with a car key? I said calmly. You really don't think much of me, do you? I walked over and squatted beside him. He clutched his stomach, his face a mask of agony and hatred. I lowered my voice so only he could hear. I knew about the brakes. That's right, I sent Leo on purpose. The person who really killed your son was you. Then I stood and called for my security guards to drag him away, along with the evidence, and deliver him to the police. I turned to the two women, still shaken by the sudden violence. I pulled them into my arms and explained everything. They remembered that Mr. Miller had once saved them and were about to ask me to show mercy. Instead, I handed them my phone. The video playing on the screen showed the truth, my investigation's results. It revealed Mr. Miller orchestrating the so-called heroic car accident, a staged event meant to indebt our families and create an opening for his son. Khloe and Scarlet were no saints. Once they knew the truth, they made a few calls of their own, ensuring that Mr. Miller would be well taken care of in prison. Only then did I finally feel relieved. All threats had been eliminated. At my side were two childhood sweethearts, top tier in every sense. With my knowledge of the plot and the protagonist's halo now firmly on my head, my future in this world was destined to be legendary. One step at a time.